Okay, to create the cover, I have done some measuring, and I just hold it upside down, or I just hold it so that I can see the signatures. This thing isn't decorated yet. I mean, there's some decorating on the pages, but the add-ons and stuff haven't been done yet, or the inserts. So it's going to get a little chunkier. So I just hold it so it looks like it's kind of in the closed position like this. And then I take the measurement between these spines. So I got 3/4 of an inch, and that's what I'm going to use as my guide, is 3/4 of an inch in between my signatures. So that's how I get that. And then for the height of the cover, I always go 1/8. Generally, I go 1/8 inch higher than what the page is. So these pages are measuring at 8 3/8. Sorry, I've got glare going on here. No, I lied. 8.5. So another 1/8 of an inch on top and bottom is going to be 8 3/4. So I cut, because I want a hard covered book cover, I cut 2 pieces of chipboard at 8 3/4. And then for my width, generally you would measure, so from the edge of the signature to the longest point, which is 6 inches here. But I like the look of, when the signature's on, I like the look of stuff sticking outside of the book. I prefer that. The raggier it looks, the better I like it. So what I have done for this book is I measured from there to the start, or to where the tab is, so that the tab will be hanging out. And I believe that came to, what was it, 5 5/8. So that's what I want for my cover. Now for the spine piece, it's also made out of chipboard, and what I do, and I wanted a curved spine, so what you do is you take a piece of chipboard, you figure out what you want for the width of the spine, because this is going to sit inside of it. I like 1/4 of an inch, I guess before what you call the gusset of the spine. I like 1/4 an inch, and then on either side. And then there's going to be those 3/4 of an inches in between. So I think, what's that? 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5, and then 1/4 inch, that brings it to 2. And then I gave myself another 1/4 of an inch just for a little bit of play. So this spine is actually 2 1/4 inches. So what I do to make it curved is I put that piece of chipboard in my cutter, and I go every 1/4 of an inch, I score it. So I will cut into it, but not go all the way through it. And then you do that at every 1/4 of an inch. And then you go along and you actually have to open it up like that, like without it actually breaking. You just want to bend it on all of those score lines so that it starts curving. And that's how you get a curved look to your spine. So then what we got to do is attach the spine to the book front and back. And what I do for that is I will cut a piece of tie back, and that's 2 1/4, and I usually leave about, I don't know. We're at 2 1/4, 3 1/4, 4 1/4, say, go 5 inches. What is that? Sorry. If I'm going 2 1/4 inches, I'm going to have 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, I usually do about 1.5 to 2 inch overhang, so somewhere in there. So, and it really doesn't matter at this point because I'm going to be totally covering my whatever what do you call that thing? Sorry. That'll work. The book is going to be totally covered. It's going to be wrapped, so it doesn't matter what color of tie back I'm using. It's all going to get covered. So now what I do here is I will take a piece of score tape, and I have some 2.5 inch, so I'll use it to make it go quicker. And then I will just cut it down. And I will attach that to this piece of tie back. And I just eyeball it for center. So I put it even on the top and bottom and just eyeball side to side. And then okay, so now just doing that alone will stiffen everything up. Try to flatten it out again. So to get that curve, I usually just go along the edge of my desk and just kind of push and get that natural curve to go again. Doesn't have to be exact. Okay, now I know I want a 1/4 inch spine in between my front and the gusset along the edge of my spine. So I will just take a 1/4 inch score tape and I run it right up against that spine, that chipboard spine, on both sides. Make sure it's touching that without going over that piece of chipboard. And then I just use 1/2 inch on the other side. I'm gonna run out here. Yep. Okay, I just ran out a 1/2 inch. So I'll just continue with the 3/8 just so I'm not holding everything up. Okay, now I take the 2 front and back covers. Oh, yeah, I gotta put tape on these as well. So on one long edge, you want to tape right on the edge, on the very edge, and even on the top and bottom. And do the same on the other side. Okay, now you're going to remove the tape backing from one of those pieces and from one of the long edges only on this side. This is the tape side. You can see better without that. So you want to, the tape side, you want to flip over. So you got the tape side there and the tape side here. And you want to butt it right up. You want to be even on the top and bottom. And you want to butt it right up to that piece of 1/4 inch score tape that we put in there as a guide. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Flip it over. And you want to put this taped edge right up to this score line, or to the score tape, even on the top and bottom. Flush with that score tape and stick that down. And when you turn it over, you burnish that. And there you have your book cover. So now I'm going to go and work on this curve a little better, make it a little more curvy. It doesn't have to be real curvy, just like a normal book. Okay, and I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so the next step is to cover the entire back of the cover, or the front of the cover, with sticky or with score tape. So you want to make sure you're not doing the inside where you could see the chipboard. You want to do the outside of the book. I'm not sure if I said that right. Okay, I think I'm going to run out of this size now. And when you go over your curved spine, you kind of go up and over. You don't squish it down flat, or it just makes that curve try to disappear on you. Okay, so now we're going to wrap this. Now, you've got a choice. You can wrap this in cloth, in material, in just about anything you want to wrap it in. But I am going to probably be wrapping this in cheesecloth. But before I put it under the cheesecloth, I want the background to be black. So this is an envelope, a tie-back envelope in black. Not everybody has access to those, but if you do, that's what I'm using. You can use black cardstock, it works just as well. So I'm going to remove this tape backing, and because I've got these white edges here, I want to get rid of those just so they don't show up. So I've taped the entire thing, and now I'll remove all that tape backing. Ouch. And I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to leave about an inch. I mean, you could measure it if you wanted to. I'm just gonna eyeball it. So I'm leaving about an inch on this side and the bottom. When I get to that curve, I kind of let it run around it, and then just drop that down. Don't worry about the wrinkles, because you can burnish those right out. Okay, so now I am going to trim off the excess. So I want about an inch left behind. Okay, now we're going to burnish this. There's a natural seam there, but I'm not concerned about it because we are wrapping this again in a material. Okay, so now I'm going to miter my corners. So I have this tool, it's Darlene by Heart, and it's a right angle tool. I don't know if you could see that. So anyway, the way it works is you just put that onto your chipboard and you just cut off that excess. think you can go online under the Darlene by Heart, I'm pretty sure, and you can find her website where you can get these. Okay, so now what I like to do is tape everything down. So I am going to be right back. I gotta go grab a couple of rolls of score tape. Okay, so I use 1/2 inch, and what I do here is I go around all the edges. Try to be a little straight. Okay, and then I go around the edge of the chipboard as well. I have this really fine 1/8 inch score tape for this, for the corners. I like to use them, but some don't. If you're using, at this point, if you're using cardstock, it's best to pre-fold before you remove the tape. And the way I do that, if this was cardstock, I would pull up and then I would just run my my bone folder along the edge and then fold down and just crease that so that the cardstock bends. But Tyvek, you don't really have to do that with it. It pulls really nice anyway. So then I remove all the tape backing, and mostly I do the sides first, but I take all the tape off. Including in the gussets. Come on. Okay, and then you just fold up. I start with the middle and push and pull kind of at the same time. I do the long sides first. And then burnish those. And then for these little corners, you just kind of take your bone folder and you just kind of push it in, or your fingernail. You just kind of fold it in on itself a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. If you can see that. You just fold it in there a little bit and then push down on that little nub. So you do that on both sides. Push down on that little nub. And then fold that piece over. Burnish that. Go and do that on the other side. And then I just fold those in. And there you have it. So now we got a black wrapped album. Not an album, cover. Journal cover with a curved spine. So that's what you'll have. And those will sit in there. So I already saw something I've done incorrectly. This book is, I'm not going to have the stuff sticking out on the side because I forgot to take into account this 1/4 inch spine when I measured. So when I measured at 5 5/8, you're actually adding another 1/4 of an inch to that. Is it a 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch to that? I think you're adding almost 1/2 an inch to that because there's 2 spines or 2 gussets. So anyway, it doesn't matter. That is what it is. Okay. So I will be back with attaching the signatures to the piece that we're going to adhere to the cover. Okay.